Alright guys, we got a good one for y'all today. We got a lot going on in today's video here at God's Country Hunting and Fishing. We're going to be doing a 5,000 subscriber giveaway on this video. We're also going to be doing a little jig tying. I'm going to show y'all a jig. It's been really hot for us this year. Caught a lot of big white perch on it. And we're also going to be showing you a little bit of that action catching some of those perch. So for the 5,000 subscriber giveaway, we're going to be giving away one of our hats and t-shirts. We're pretty excited about our new hats here at God's Country Hunting and Fishing. I've been working on this project for about a year now. I actually hand drew our logo, sent it off, had it digitized so we could embroider it or print it. We are working with Bayou Threads in West Monroe, Louisiana. They've done a really nice job on our caps for us to make these available. These are the Richardson 112 trucker caps. We'll be giving away this one right here. Our shirts are gray and sandstone. We've got two different shirts with our logo on front and back. The way we're going to do this drawing is as soon as we hit 5,000 subs, we're going to shut it off and make the drawing. Now, you got a little bit of time if you want to let your buddies know. We're about 200 subscribers from hitting that mark. That's probably going to take about a week and a half to 2 weeks to hit that mark. So they've got time to subscribe, comment on this video. The comments are going in the draw. And everybody that comments on this video, we're going to put them in a hat, draw a name. I'll get with y'all. You can holler at me on Facebook. I'll message you on the comment section. But you can holler at me on Facebook, send me your address, and I'll send you the hat and the t-shirt. Now on these caps, we're actually making our caps and some t-shirts available on a website for God's Country Hunting and Fishing. Big thanks to Bayou Threads for helping us do that. We've got 7 or 8 different colors on there. You'll have to go on there. When you click on one of the hats, the different colors will pop up under it. We also got a few ladies caps on there, kind of going by requests on some of that, you know, on the colors and things. But we had camo, we had orange requested, so we made a camo cap available. May add some more camo patterns or something later if we get some requests. We'll just see how that goes. And the orange, of course, is the only one that isn't a mesh back. So the orange would be just a solid canvas back. And it also has Velcro back here instead of the snaps. Pretty nice orange cap. I wanted it solid for hunting season because a lot of guys will be wearing it in colder weather and things. I'm going to drop the link to the online store for God's Country Hunting and Fishing in the description of the video. And I'm also going to try to drop it in the comments section of the video for you guys to make it a little easier in case you want to get on there and check out these hats. Alright, now let's get to the jig making part of the video. I'm going to call this jig Tiger because it's going to look like a tiger when we get done. We're going to do an orange and chartreuse colored jig. This jig is really good in some dingy, muddy water. We've had a lot of rain this year, and I think that's why this jig's been hot. We actually caught fish the last 2 or 3 years on this jig and kind of kept this one under my hat. So you can say this is one of my secret jigs. We're using it actually in some bigger jigs. This is like a 1/4 ounce head right here. Trying to use the 1/4 ounce so you can see the colors a little better. I painted these jigs. I put a little glitter. You can't really see the glitter in it, but the orange side has a little glitter, orange glitter or yellow. You can use whatever color glitter you want. And got a little light kind of fluorescent or chartreuse glitter in the yellow side of it. But it's a pretty nice little jig head. I actually tied 2 or 3 jigs with this jig head. Like that paint pattern works good for us. So we've got one here in 1/8. We're going to tie 1/8 so it'll be a little bit bigger and you can see it a little bit better. We'll put just a little bit of our Hard as Nails, Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails on there. And we'll put a base down with some orange thread real quick. Put us a pretty good base down there. Like I said, this is definitely one of our go-to jigs when we're fishing hand ties. It works good for us. Now the body material I'll go ahead and show you is going to be some UV modeled Galaxy mop, and mop is the key word when looking that up, chenille, in a fluorescent orange. Now you can see it has a little bit of black mixed in with it. Now this mop chenille, what I can tell you about mop, I've bought 2 or 3 of these and I mostly only use the orange in color. It's just a real good color, but this mop will slow your jig down in the water. So whereas you're using other style chenilles and stuff, it'll fish faster. A lot of times I want a slower jig so I can just hold that jig above those perch. And what I found is this mop is a lot slower in the water. The presentation's different. So when you're coming in on a fish, say this jig is a fish, I like to kind of come in on a 45 a lot of times, especially if I'm casting, and I'll try to just hold that jig right in there until that fish sees it. When I see him respond or something on live scope, then I'll start easing it up away from him, a lot of times at a 45, and he'll turn on it, come up kind of close in distance. A lot of times you'll see in our videos, he'll come up and strike that jig. A lot of different methods, a lot of people fish different ways. That's just how we fish. It's what works for us. Really good stuff. For the feathers, we're going to use chartreuse and orange. We're going to actually start out with a darker orange. I went ahead and cut my V's. There they are. And then we've got a lighter orange. I'm not sure this would really matter. It's just I have them and I'm using them up. But you can see the 2 different tones of orange. There's a lighter one. So on my orange side of the head, I'll have the darker first. And then I'll put the lighter up closer to my chartreuse. So reference on the video, this orange is going to go kind of on the bottom, or actually that'd be the top of the jig. But I'm going to tie them in real quick. They kind of mix in anyways on those feathers, kind of spin around a little bit, mix in, be alright. So on our flash, we've got some orange flash and we've got some chartreuse flash. And a lot of times on these orange jigs where I'm using orange and flat and chartreuse, I don't even think this would matter, but just out of habit, a lot of times I use both flashes. So what I'll do is take my flash, cut it in half, or cut me a piece off long enough. Take those 2, pull them together, pull those 2 together, bring them around the head, and go ahead and tie them in before I put my chartreuse on there. That way they're kind of in the middle of the feathers for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter. When they get wet, they're going to show no matter where they're at. We'll cut those off in a second. Now, for 1/8, I use, if I'm only using V's, which a lot of times I do, you know, some people use the wings, and I use them sometimes if I've got them just to use the feathers up. I can't tell the difference between how well the wings catch and how well the V's. The wings being the tip of what would be the feathers when you cut the neck hackle off. So neck hackle feathers is what we're using. And we've got 4 of the chartreuse feathers. So we got 4 and 4. That's what I was saying on 1/8. On 1/16, a lot of times I use 6 V's instead of 8. But when I go up, I'll use 8 and sometimes even 10 on 1/4 ounce if I want slower fishing jigs. So you can kind of control the way those jigs are fishing, the speed that they are in the water. You know, if your jig's fast and fish just don't want it fast, they want to slow down. Sometimes they just want to sit there and look at it a while before they hit it for whatever reason. You can slow those jigs down by adding more feathers or a thicker chenille. That's something I do a lot. Now I'll bring that back half an inch or so past those feathers and cut my, I don't really like real long flash out there. It just makes the profile of the jig look longer to me. So I normally bring it out just a little past the feathers and clip it off. Now we'll add our chenille. Like I said, this is that, you can see there, it's a pretty nice looking chenille. Looks like a tiger stripe. That's why we call this just the tiger stripe jig, or the tiger jig. We'll start it, wrap it down to the feathers there, come back up, tie it in good. Now this is a pretty thick one, so a lot of times on 1/8 I might start here, go down, and then back on 1/8 or 1/4 just to make it thicker. You're not really gonna have to do that with this mop chenille. This mop chenille is thick enough that it stays kind of poked out like, and it doesn't take much of it either to cover the base of your jig. So we'll make a couple wraps here. I should describe what I'm doing. I'm just running that bobbin thread holder around it, and then a couple more, and that locks that chenille in, and just clip that chenille off up close like so. And you know what's next, the whip finish. Whip finish, about 5-6 wraps. Some people go 7 or 8. 5 or 6 seems to hold for me just fine. Never had any come untied, I don't think. You know, we may catch 100 fish on one of these jigs if we don't lose it, maybe more. We'll catch enough they'll beat the paint off the head, and that's pretty good paint right here. So we'll take just a little bit of the Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Just take our little, I don't know what you call that thing, little needle, and just run it right around the neck of that, where that thread's tied in. That just helps to lock that in good. Always wipe that off to keep the nail polish off of it. Now that jig's finished. It's ready to go. This is one of the jigs we're gonna be fishing with. This is one we've been catching a lot of fish on. Just thought I'd tie you guys one so you could see it tied. It's a really nice looking jig, and it catches. That's a go-to jig. Alright guys, we are out here on Lake D'Arbonne today. Gonna catch a few white perch. We're using a couple different methods. I'll share some of that with y'all. We're gonna use an ultralight a little bit. The wind's down a little bit today, so we're gonna be using some jig poles. Alright, I'm gonna show y'all a little bit about what we're gonna start with. You know, if I can catch fish on a big jig, I like fishing a 1/4 ounce jig if that's what they'll bite. It's April, it's post-spawn, these fish are hungry. 2 days ago they bit really well, yesterday they bit a little slower. Today, I don't know yet, I hadn't even put a jig in the water. Did a little bit of explaining. But 1/4 ounce jig, I'll show you what color that we catch them on. That right there. It's orange and chartreuse, yellow. Got an orange with black striped body. Yeah, they like that, dude. That's a 1/4 ounce jig with a 2/0 hook. And yeah, we used to think that small is good, and some days it is. But if they'll hit this, you can boat flip 2-pounders. See, I got bait caster. We got 20-pound braid on here. We're fishing braid straight to the jig. Actually, we're using a little no-knot clip. Tie them on with a polymer. 20-pound braid straight to the 1/4 ounce jig. We'll see what happens. Right there on a 1/4 ounce jig. Right at the top of the mouth. Alright, we caught one, spooked a couple. We're fixing to swap to the 16-foot jig pole. I don't know if that bigger bait's just spooking them or what. The first one hit it. No problem, but we're going to swap to a smaller bait, 1/16 ounce, a little different color, 16-foot jig pole, see what happens. So what we got a couple of big bass weights, some bobber stoppers, top and bottom of it, about 12-14 inches down. We got a 1/16 ounce. I call that the June bug and chartreuse. Got a pink head, purple body, chartreuse tail, little minnow head jig. Very sluggish, these fish. Today they're not wanting to bite. So we'll go ahead with our original plan, drop down on them other two. See if we can get on them. Maybe one of them will take it. Okay, they see the jig. Decent fish, they're not big. About a 10-incher. Well, we can keep 10-inchers. Not a bad eating fish. You know, we've talked a little bit in some of our crappie fishing videos here on Lake D'Arbonne in North Louisiana about the new regulations they went to this year. This is our home lake. It's the closest lake to our house. I fish it a lot, me and Danielle, and recently they went to 7 fish over 12 inches long. As far as I know, that's the most restrictive regulations anywhere in the United States as far as fish over a certain length. I know there's a lot of lakes that go 15 fish over, maybe 12 or whatever the length may be. Reason being, the powers that be think that the fish aren't growing fast enough in Lake D'Arbonne and wanted to make some changes to see what would happen. I think this is a 3-year test to see what happens, if it'll produce more fish over that 12-inch mark personally this year, we haven't seen a whole lot of change. The fish are still about the size they normally are. We catch a few over and we catch a good many under. But you'll see us keeping some smaller fish. Normally we would throw a lot of those fish back, let them grow. But the reason we're keeping smaller fish now is, according to biologists, they don't want the lake to overpopulate with small fish. So we keep the good eaters, the real tiny small ones, we throw those back. But you'll see us keeping a lot of fish between 10 and 12 inches long, or a few, you know, normally we catch about as many of them as we do the ones over. So that's the reason we're keeping some small fish. Just gonna throw that out there for you guys. So when you see us keeping these 10 inchers, you don't beat us up too much on YouTube. We swapped over to the Charlie Brewer slider, and I don't know if they're just seeing that tail, willing to chase something with a little action. That was the bigger fish that missed it a while ago. He was in the mix. A little bit better fish there. Still not a big one, but all good eaters. We'll have to measure that one. He's gonna be probably about 11 and a half, 11 3/4, but we'll make sure it's not over 12. Got that one. Swap back to hand tie. I've caught like 3 on this hand tie right here. We actually sped the jig up, which is crazy because these fish are so slow. We got our, it's a bad picture, nice perch. So I'll show you that jig real quick. A little yellow and orange, yellow chartreuse, orange jig. That's what we caught a lot on yesterday. I'm back on that, just casting a 1/8 ounce jig. It's actually a little faster. I don't know, maybe it triggered that strike right there, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what that is. Maybe a catfish. Definitely in the purple. Alright guys, be sure not to forget to comment on the video so you get in on the 5,000 subscriber giveaway. Also, while you're there, hit the thumbs up button because that helps us out on the videos, gets us out there. All that stuff helps. Comments, videos, likes, shares. That's all good stuff for us. Be sure to also check out the link in the description of the video for our online store, God's Country Hunting and Fishing. And we'll try to drop it in the comments section of the video. We also have it on my Facebook page. It's Bradley Smith at Marion, Louisiana. We'll drop a lot of our videos and stuff on there, so we'll drop the link to the online store on there as well. So if you get on there, send me a friend's request, we'll get on there and accept it. Also want to send a big shout out to Mr. Joe and Amy at Bayou Threads for helping us out on these caps. Bayou Threads, West Monroe, Louisiana. They are online. They're on Facebook. If you need anything embroidered in North Louisiana or in that area, be sure to give them a holler. They're good people. They do hats, shirts, blankets, quilts, pillowcases, whatever you need. If it can be embroidered, Ms. Amy will help you out over there. Appreciate those guys. That's going to be it for this one. God's Country Hunting and Fishing. Keeping it real.